Hello, we're going to interview Paula, the winner of the writing competition. And there is Anne Ashman. She's writing club's president, and I'm going to be next year's writing club president. And yes, that's basically what we're going to do today.
Okay, so for this end of the year writing competition, we did kind of a different prompt from last time. So it was a little less formal, kind of. So basically, we looked at this quote by author William Faulkner that says, "The aim of every artist is to arrest motion, which is life, by artificial means and hold it fixed so that 100 years later, when a stranger looks at it, it moves again." So often, when a person is told to write a personal narrative or a memoir, they'll say something like, they don't have interesting personal stories to tell, so what am I supposed to write? But every moment that anyone has ever remembered is story-worthy. I believe that. Stories are told to share experiences, to express what it means to be human, to capture life. Um, and during quarantine, I think we can all say that we've lived like hundreds of moments that are all like the same. They all feel the same and monotonous and pointless, maybe. Maybe it seems like they're not worth turning into a story, but in this prompt, the writing club challenged participants to seize those moments and turn them into a story anyway. So the prompt specifically was, quarantine has been a tricky time that can seem to drag or feel lifeless. However, there are many moments that may surprise you in their ability to become a story. Use any genre to arrest or capture a moment out of quarantine, simple or mundane as it may seem, and tell its story in so much detail that it moves again.
So Paula's poem, she wrote a poem. It was an ode to volleyball. And it was very interesting. She talked about how volleyball keeps her from her crazy behavior. It was very funny. It was really such a fun, interesting thing that you could read because you aren't used to crazy, stupid odes. You're used to like other stuff. And it was a beautiful poem. Yes.
And you can read the poem on Wattpad. We'll attach the link below. Um, and my first question to Paula is, you did an incredible job including rhymes and parallelism throughout the stanzas. So like things that reflected each other between the stanzas, the same ideas repeated in different ways. And why did you choose to write it as a poem?
Well, I was recently finishing the unit of poetry with my teacher, my English teacher. So I thought it would be a fun way to include all the new type of poetry, rhymes, and things like that that I learned in the last unit.
Nice.
So my first question was, why did you decide to write about volleyball?
In quarantine, I was starting to feel depressed and sad because we couldn't go out, we couldn't see everyone we wanted, and well, when I went to volleyball, I always felt so happy that I could see my teammates, and I just love doing sports, so I relax and I always enjoy. So volleyball is my favorite sport, and it helped me go out of my sadness and depression from quarantine. So that's why I wrote it. I thought I could appreciate that moment in my life.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. So back to the writing. You maintain a theme throughout the poem, like a concept that's important, where you subtly connect playing volleyball to being close to God. Volleyball saves you and you don't know what you would do without it. And in your very last line where you say that, when I lay my foot on the court, I start to pray, which I think is incredibly beautiful. And it kind of brings this theme of you needing it the way you need God to a climax. And it's really, really deep, I think. Was that an intentional connection, or did it just kind of work out that way? Because, I mean, when I write, I know that sometimes I plan it out and sometimes it just comes out that way.
Actually, I didn't plan it, but I did want to include something about my faith because sometimes I get really nervous. I always get nervous talking in front of people. Um, when I started playing in front of someone, volleyball, I start praying that I don't get nervous and that everything goes well. So that's what I wanted to transmit.
That's awesome. I think sometimes when it's not planned, it comes out more honest. I like that.
So my next question, Paula, is this the first time you write something, or and do you ever write for fun?
No, I've written some other poems in last year in my Miss Markham's class, and I also wrote more poems in Miss Bennett's class. But yeah, I do write for fun sometimes. I wrote in a specific poem for this competition, but they didn't actually meet all the rules and stuff. So I had to change some things, and yeah, I think it's really fun to write poems because I like rhyming stuff and I always try to make them a little funny.
Nice. Well, I had another question for you, but you kind of answered it. I was going to ask if you often write poetry or if this is a first or a new attempt. So, did you feel comfortable writing the poetry or was it hard since you haven't written that much poetry? We've had some classes.
No, it wasn't hard. I usually use Google to find all of my rhymes and stuff. So it's not that hard. I just enjoy it and try to transmit what I'm feeling in that moment. So it comes out a little spontaneous.
Nice. Well, that's all the questions we had. Any final comments or questions? Nice. Okay, well then you can read her poem on Wattpad. I'll attach the link below, and that's